tying a very popular warm water fly today. This is called a Kreelex Streamer, or Kreelex bait fish, some people call it. It is made out of, this particular one is made with some material from Montana Fly Company that is called Fish Flash. But if you do a search for Kreelex Flash, you'll find this kind of material from a number of different people. The creator of it used a product called Kreelex, K-R-E-I-N-I-K. That's what I was first introduced to, which is kind of a finer Flashabou type material, and they have some holographic flash as well in that Kreelex Flash, and that was the original Kreelex Streamer that I tied, or Kreelex Streamer that I tied. However, I have found that this material from Montana Fly is very nice because it just has a lot of different facets to it. It's not holographic, but it looks kind of holographic. So it's going to reflect a lot of light. It's going to flash and glint a lot more in the water. But it's a great warm water fly, and it has done pretty well in cold water and even salt water. So that is the Kreelex Streamer. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Kreelex fly with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad R75 in a size 6. You want to use a longer streamer hook for this, but as I mentioned in the introduction, it's tied very similar to the Clouser darter. So you could potentially use, a wider gapped, a little bit shorter shanked hook. It's up to you. If you look around on the internet, you're going to see a lot of different ways that people tie this fly. The original was tied using some Kreelex material, Kreelex Flash, and it has since been marketed as a Kreelex Flash. I'm using some stuff from Montana Fly they call it Fish Flash, but if you search for Kreelex Flash, you'll find it. The stuff from Montana Fly I like because it's like a holographic, and it's also kinked. So it is. And I think that's why this fly is so popular, is the light refracts off of this in multiple different directions. A lot of times your flash, if it's flat, when the light hits it, it's only going to flash or reflect back that light if you happen to be looking straight at it because it's flat. But if the holographic material, basically, even though it's flat, the coating on it bounces back the light in multiple different directions. So I think that's part of the reason that this is a popular fly. But anyway, you can use different hooks for this, different tying techniques. Some people even use bucktail on some of them. It's really up to you. Search around, find one you like. They're very productive, good flies. So after I debarb the hook, I'm going to attach my thread. I'm using a Danville 3.0 mono in white for this, and that's simply because of the color scheme of the fly. If you wanted to tie this in darker colors or something, use a dark thread. It's really up to you. As I said, this is very similar to a Clouser darter, and that's pretty much how I'm going to tie this. I want to get my thread at least a couple eye lengths, even 3, behind the dumbbell eyes, the hook eye, and that's where I'm going to tie in my dumbbell eyes. I'm using just a chrome-plated dumbbell eyes. This is a medium. Again, if you wanted to use somewhere painted or, had pupils on it or whatever you want, whatever works for you. This is a fly that has lots of room for improvement, maybe not necessarily improvement, but variation for different fishing conditions. So I'm going to attach those about at least 2 eye lengths behind the eye of the hook, but I like them a little bit further back. Keep in mind, if you haven't tied or fished many Clouser deep minnows or even Clouser darters, a lot of people will tie the eyes real close to the front. and that's fine if you want to. The closer the eyes are to the front, the more jigging motion you're going to get in the fly in terms of straight up and down jigging. The further back it is, you're going to get less jigging, and you're going to get more kind of a wounded appearance to it. It's just kind of erratic, but less up and down jigging. So I like them to be a little bit further back. I'm going to end with my thread right behind the dumbbell eyes, actually just a little bit forward. So I'm going to tie in the first material. The first one I'm using is some silver fish flash or Kreelex flash. I'm going to tie this in, and again, different people do these different ways. This is a way that I like. I find a lot of people will tie these very bushy, and I'm not a big fan of that. I think that thinner actually works better for most fishing situations, and to have something that just represents and looks kind of like is a little bit better. That's just me. So I'm going to tie these in right here at the base of those dumbbell eyes. Now I am holding these, kind of pulling them back a little bit and up, because I want to anchor these all the way down along the back of the hook shank. You could use a different thread too, by the way. I've seen some people do that, where in this case they'd use an olive thread or a black thread or something like that, just to give it a little bit different color. I'm going to wind my thread back forward, up over, and just between the eye of the hook and the dumbbell eyes here. And I'm going to trim this tail here so that it is about the length of the hook, which is in front of the eye of the hook and to the bend behind where it's tied in. So you could even use your scissors here if you want, and this is where you're going to cut that. I also like to cut mine kind of varying lengths. I don't like it nice and clean and chopped off. Generally, when you cut a hank out of one side of this, I have enough here for another fly. So we will set that aside here and tie up another one. Now, this is going to be the belly portion right up under here. Here's her tail. Here's the belly portion. And the belly portion is only going to go back just a little bit past the bend. I'm using some pearl of the same material for the belly portion. What I'm going to do is get some pearl out here that's about half the amount of the silver that I put in, maybe at least possibly even. I'm going to tie this in. I want to already measure this. I don't mind that it's a little ragged, but I want that just to maybe halfway down the tail. Then I'm going to bring this up underneath the thread here. And get one wrap in here, kind of secure that. I want to try and keep that on top of the hook shank. A couple wraps rearward. I'm now going to fold over all of that. That's why I don't want a huge clump right up front. I'm going to get that folded over. I'm going to reach under the dumbbell eyes behind, and I'm not going to really pull that down super tight. I just want that anchored right behind and bring my thread back up in front. Then I will cut what I folded over the same length as the other stuff. This is just part of the belly, and again, I cut that at different lengths so that when this is swimming in the water, I will have different, it'll flash off the ends of those a little bit different, and it just all kind of blends together. It looks, I think, a little bit more natural than a sharp cut edge. With my thread back between the dumbbell eyes and the eye of the hook, I'm going to flip this over. Now I'm going to tie in the wing, the back, whatever you want to call it, because this is a bait fish pattern. Again, I've got that silver that's kind of going down for silver sides, a white belly. I'm going to use some gold for the back on this. And again, I'm going to clip out probably about as much as I did for the belly here, because this is going to get tied in and it's going to be the same length as the belly. So I'm going to again, bring this up underneath the thread here. Make certain I have this the same length. I can pull that a little bit to my right to get that length correct. Get a wrap or two in to secure that. You don't want to put a lot of tension on that because it'll pull it over to the other side. Get that under the thread there. Start wrapping rearward. Put a little wax on my thread to help grip that material a little bit more as I'm tying it in. Then I'm going to fold all of this back again. I'll take this and I'll cut it the same as I did the belly that I did. So it's all the same length there. Now I'll bring my thread forward and make the head. I'll cover up any butt ends, any materials under there, and just make the head of the fly. I don't like these heads wrapped real tight up against the dumbbell eyes. I think they look better if you have a little bit of space behind there. You could also even use some monofilament thread on this if you want. Some people do for their clouser deep minnows and flies like this, because in that monofilament, the gold on this side would show up a little under that monofilament. So this is the Kreelex fly. I first was introduced to this as mostly a warm water fly, and it has done very, very well, but that's my understanding. It has also excelled at cold water and even saltwater. I don't see why it wouldn't. I have fished a number of clouser darters for bonefish and done very well, so I don't know why this would not also do very, very well for saltwater species. Some dark colors, maybe with subdued flash, maybe even for carp. Carp don't tend to like a whole lot of flash in their flies. Now I'm putting some fly tight on here on the materials between the dumbbell eyes and all over those thread wraps. That'll soak in there. If you want to protect this, if you plan on fishing this mostly bouncing on the bottom, you could, even just like a regular deep minnow or the darter, you could put some epoxy on the back here and around there. It's just going to help the fly last a little bit longer. But that is a Kreelex Streamer. Like I said, lots of different variations people have done on this particular fly. It is a very, very productive fly and popular. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vice today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. And what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.